Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is April Carter, and I'm a team member with Tennessee Nonprofit Network. And I am so excited to bring you a sneak peek into our 2025 Regional Nonprofit Storytelling Summit. It's going to be happening April 23rd in the great city of Knoxville, and we want you there. So today, this is such a pleasure for me, such a gift. I'm joined by one of our incredible speakers who will be sharing some insights into his session and the power of storytelling in the nonprofit world. So I would love for everyone to welcome and say hello to Kiran Singh Sirah, who is
Hello.
an award-winning storyteller, creative thought leader, and the past president of the International Storytelling Center. He is considered a world specialist on storytelling and narratives for peace, leading dialogues around the globe, and just an incredible presenter and storyteller. So welcome, Kiran.
Hey, welcome. Thank you. So good to be here. Thank you, April. A wonderful introduction.
I can go on and on about all of your accolades and receipts, but you know your world and your work so much better than I do and can articulate it much better. So if you could please share just a bit about your background and what gets you excited about presenting at the Tennessee Nonprofit Storytelling Summit.
Absolutely. Well, I am very excited. I am, as you can tell by my accent, I'm not originally from East Tennessee, but I have been here for 12 years, 14 years in the United States. I come from the UK. Now, to give you a bit of background at storytelling, it started for me really young. I was born in South England. I come the son of political refugees that arrived in Britain from fleeing persecution and genocide. So I was born in the South England, but it was very much part of my upbringing. It was part of my folk traditions, part of my ancestral traditions, and it was really much part of what my family gave me. You know, when people talk about what's your storytelling methodology, it's my mother. It's what she taught me. It's how to be in the world, how to create space, how to make people feel welcome. So my journey has really been from becoming an educator. I was a high school teacher in East London. And then I moved up to Scotland and I got a job at a big National Museum of Scotland. 9/11, September the 1st, 2001, 10 days later, we witnessed the Twin Towers collapse.
Mhm.
And that created a lot of tension around the world and also in my own community. And so a lot of the work I started to do from there was a really pivotal moment for me, and I think for many people, but I started to see myself not just as a citizen of one country, but really a citizen of the world. And my world mattered, and I wanted to make a difference. And so I started to bring people together from people from faith communities, backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, and I created a folk festival, which was really a storytelling festival. And around 6,000 people came from different traditions, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, many different people. And it was a chance to really explore faith narratives, cultural narratives, but also personal narratives. And that really led into a career working in Scotland, in Northern Ireland, multiple places, using storytelling as a force for peace building. It's a foundation for understanding. For my work in Northern Ireland and West of Scotland, with people emerging from a 30-year war, to how to welcome refugees and how to sort of like really bring different types of communities together. So that all led to, I'm cutting a long story short, but led to a peace scholarship to come to the United States 14 years ago. I got to really hone that in as part of international development, peace and conflict resolution, and social justice folklore. And so I did that study in North Carolina for 2 years, a deep dive using ethnographic tools and knowledge. And then I landed a position to run the International Storytelling Center and the National Storytelling Festival, which is considered the kind of like pinnacle for the American storytelling movement, based right here in East Tennessee. And I did that for 10 years, but I had a particular focus on how do we do justice to the full stories that need to be told? How do we listen to the untold stories? How do we pay attention to the stories on the margins, but also the stories not even on the page? And that was really important part of the work that I was doing. And what I still believe in is how do we not just do the elevator pitch? How do we do justice to the full tapestry of stories that exist across our nation and our world, helping people to dig deeper? So that's what really gets me excited about helping people to understand the full breadth and also the power that they have as artists. They may not call themselves artists, but we're all artists, and we have the artistry in our communities, and bringing that alive and helping them to understand that we can all make a difference, whether it's a non-profit work, whether you're a donor, supporter, attendee. Non-profit work is a movement, and it's a very important movement. It's a non-capitalist movement. It's about building community. And so I really feel non-profit work is justice work, right? So that's what I'm really excited about sort of sharing at this session.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to your session. Just the emotional pull is already there. I am 100% invested in this conversation. Sounds like it's just threaded through everything that you do around your work and storytelling. So with there being so much rich history in your background, in your experience, without giving away too much, what can attendees expect to walk away with your session? Just tell us a little bit about your sessions and what they can expect.
Absolutely. Yeah. What I hope to be able to do is help people to imagine. And that's really important. It's really a core part of storytelling. It's what our ancestors did, and it's what we're continually doing. And so the session's going to be really sort of almost without provoking, but to challenge people's notions of storytelling itself as an art form, as a movement, as a tool, but really broaden their perspectives. But I'm also going to be doing some interactives, helping people to understand what they bring, the stories that they inform the path that they're on, but really importantly, how you can use stories to imagine the future that you're trying to create. Your strategic plan might call it an objective or a vision or a mission, but what is your personal vision for the world that you wish to create? And how can your story help you to create it? And what I want people to do in the session is to go away with some ideas about how they can take those vignettes, those moments from their personal experience, and begin to craft that for the movements that they're supporting, the causes, the justice movements, education, whatever it might be. If it's important to you, learn how to understand how story can communicate that and the value of doing it. So that's what my session is going to be about. And it's going to be interactive. I'm going to put some joy into it, put some serious stuff into it. But I want it to be a living room conversation, basically.
Oh, that is so fantastic. And I absolutely adore the call and the invitation to imagine. Oftentimes when we think about the invitation to imagine, we think about, children, inviting children to imagine a future in their careers. But that doesn't stop being able to imagine, within our current roles and tying that into storytelling. This is so exciting. I cannot wait for your session. So with all of that, so in your experience, with the depth of your experience, how has storytelling transformed the way nonprofits engage with their communities and their supporters?
It's really interesting. I think, you know, I really sort of know a lot more about the sort of the American storytelling movement because it's a real big field that I kind of understand, or at least a really big part of. But it's shifted a lot. It's shifted a lot from sort of the understanding of cultural stories to the personal narrative. We know that not just in nonprofit, across philanthropy, across social justice movements, across think tanks, narrative is playing such an important role. It's thinking about really how we understand beliefs, ideas, community ways of life, traditions. And so I feel what's happening now is that more and more people are kind of understanding this power, but I feel also that more and more people are getting a greater sense that it's not about propping you up as like the great British Museum or whatever it is. It's about equalizing this space. It's about centering the audience, the community, as the hero or the shero of the journey, right? Making them the center of the story. In this country, and I'm an immigrant to this country, and I'm proud immigrant, I believe in this idea of like of the people, by the people, for the people, right? It's not imposing. It's about we're all equal. It's a pluralistic society. And more people understand the value of how stories can help to create that to happen. It's an equal space, right? So when nonprofits start to engage in that work, it's about calling people into the space rather than sort of pushing out of the space, and realizing that we got so much more beyond these social constructs that divide us, right? Religion, politics, nationality, documented, undocumented. We are human beings, and when we serve the humanity, storytelling can help us to kind of call us into the space to transcend these differences. And that's the power. That's the essence. It's the essence of our movement, but it's also the essence of our humanity.
Wonderful. And I love that that I am an artist, that I can consider myself an artist and a storytelling. So because storytelling does have the power to bring a community together, and we all have our personal stories or personal narratives that we give. So when you
Mm-hmm.
think about your history and your natural abilities, would you consider yourself more of a natural storyteller, or are you more drawn to listening to great stories?
Well, my wife would say that I do like to talk. So
Yeah.
I'd say probably a natural storyteller. But we're all natural storytellers. My 8-year-old daughter is a natural storyteller, in the way that she tells stories through her drawing, through her descriptions, and the way she sees the world. But storytelling is like we're all natural. We're all naturally born. I ran a nonprofit that worked with people with complex disabilities, and they told stories through movement and sound, right? It's a natural rhythm that exists in all of us, and there are multiple ways we do it. It's our food ways, it's our communal gatherings, it's our rituals and our beliefs and our practices, right? It's really, but essentially what storytelling does is help us to listen. And I'm not saying just listening to words, I'm talking about listening to the essence, listening to meaning, understanding what's important to you. When you listen to a folk tale, you can be, it can hold time. Tennessee has one of the largest Kurdish populations in the country. And I invite people to go listen to a Kurdish folktale, and what happens to your imagination when you do. You are capturing a moment that can stop time and hold time. But what it's doing is helping us to listen and make sense of the world and see the world from the perspective of others. So the more we engage in storytelling and the more we listen, it teaches us to listen in new ways, in ways that we haven't been taught to listen. Stories create that framework to understand who you are, but what's meaningful to you. And when we understand that, it can really bring us into a kind of a place of connection. A great Appalachian activist, Robert Guy, sat with me in a Knoxville bar once and said, in Appalachia, you don't tell people how to think, you tell them a story, let them make up their own mind. And that's really important for when you're working with communities, is connect with a story that holds value. If it moves your heart, it's going to move other people's hearts too.
Ah, I need a moment to recenter and recover. This is
Really
just
nice to connect with you, April, by the way.
such a beautiful interview. So closing us out, you're obviously
Mhm.
a great storyteller, and thank you for the reminder that we are all natural
Yeah.
storytellers. And I love the concept of, we tell stories through movement and culture and all of these things that we wouldn't at first top of mind think we are telling stories, but we are. So that is a fantastic reminder. But in considering all of that, if
Mhm.
you could have dinner with one storyteller, past or present, who would it be and why? And you can't say yourself
Oh
because
my
you're
God.
you're my choice. You're
I
my
don't want to
choice.
eat. I don't want to be dinner myself. um, God, I love food and I love cooking. It's a great form of storytelling. I grew up in a big family of communal gatherings with 150 people gathered. And so, but I think, when I think about that, there are two people perhaps come to mind. There's one when I was a young kid, I was really influenced by the songs and the movement of Bob Marley, Robert Nesta Marley. And I would love to have sat down with him. Obviously, he passed. Love to have understood the moment where he was working in a factory in the United States. I think it was Pittsburgh, and he shifted. His mind of the world shifted, and he kind of moved differently. And I remember meeting someone many years ago that he was an elder in a Rastafari community in London. And when Bob Marley used to come to Britain, he used to stay with him. And he always used to say, Bob Marley he was an introvert. He was really quiet. He was quite shy, but he was always listening. And then many years later, he brought all that knowledge of listening out in his music. He shifted my world. He made me see a bigger world out there when I listened to his music when I was like 8 years old. But the other part of that is I live in East Tennessee. There's a man called Tom Belk. He's an elder in the Cherokee Nation. And he always says that in this place in Appalachia, stories have been told for over 12,000 years. It's the cosmology of our people. If I had the opportunity to sit down with someone 12,000 years ago that lives right in this place that I'm sitting, to understand how they saw the world, the stories that they experienced, and how they told them to be in that communal gathering, that would be the most sacred opportunity to do that. That would be something I would honor the most, the place that I live, to hear a storyteller from the people that were the traditional custodians of this art.
Wonderful. We can hardly wait to be able to connect with you at the Nonprofit Storytelling Summit, April 23rd. However, if someone wanted to connect with you before and go down the rabbit hole of Kiran, Singh, Sirah before April 23rd, how can someone connect with you? How can they follow you?
Well, I like rabbits. I would say just contact me. I've got a website, kiransingh.net, sorry, on LinkedIn. So yeah, and I've got a toolkit, a whole bunch of free resources online, and I try to make that available so nonprofits it's free. You can just use it, collect stories, and all that stuff is available. But yeah, I have a program called Storytelling: A Gift of Hope. And it's really how you can think about stories to bring hope in a troubled world, which is something I feel is really important right now, is how do we imagine and how do we work with our young people and our adults and our communities and our families and create the world that we're kind of creating. It's one of the difficult times and crisis and turmoil. Never stop giving up hope, never stop imagining, because that is the thing that will change the world and the world that you want to see. So, and I give this stuff for free on my website. So, kiransingh.net. And yeah, I talk a lot. Invite me for dinner.
Oh, absolutely. So the transformative art and power of storytelling. The session will be available April 23rd at the Nonprofit Storytelling Summit in Knoxville, Tennessee. If you have not registered, there's still time to register and get your ticket and be on the front row of the session, the Transformative Art and Power of Storytelling. Just visit tnnonprofits.org to get your seat secured today. Thank you so much for joining us for this interview. Kiran, thank you for saying yes to this opportunity, and we look forward to seeing you on April 23rd.
Wonderful.
Thank you.